Wow.
All right, my name is Kurt Clendenin with the KaPow Intergalactic Film Festival 2021. We are talking with Chris McElroy here, who directed the feature film American Sci-Fi. And Chris, you were just telling me that holy cow, you've you're all over the festival circuit with this movie, huh?
Yeah, we've been in about 10 festivals now. And they've all been virtual because we started submitting right when the pandemic started. But honestly, it's been a really cool experience. All the festivals, it seems, a lot of them have done a very good job switching to kind of a virtual premiere kind of situation. And it's actually helped us reach a lot of people that I think we wouldn't have reached otherwise.
I bet
Yeah.
it's really cool because it opens up this potential of, people in other countries and people who couldn't normally be there at a theater to see your movie. Um, I just got to say, man, it's really impressive. I don't know, is it okay on here if I say what the budget was? Because you put it in
Yeah.
the film freeway thing. Because I'm just astonished by this.
We're very proud. We're very
For
proud of it.
$1,500, dude, you had so much production value in this thing, man. I mean, it was like you you made sure to make use of that location, and that location is kick ass. So did you used to work there? What is it? Costa's family
Cost
fun
Family
pack
Fun Park.
fun park, yeah. So
Yeah.
did you work there?
I never worked there. My co-writer, co-producer, Corey Schmalzley, who has a small cameo. He's the hazmat agent that gets spewed on in the middle of
Awesome.
his parents own that fun park. That's
Wow,
their
man.
summer business. And so we actually wrote the whole movie knowing we had that. So the whole movie was based around the fun park.
That's brilliant. That's the key to doing it. A lot of times people writing screenplays going, "Oh my gosh, I hope that I can get this kind of location. I hope I can get that." But I think the true genius lies in going, okay, what do I have available? What locations do we have where we don't have to use permits or anything? And going, okay, we're gonna write around this particular location. So, dude, that was absolutely brilliant to write around that location because you had how many locations in one location?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they had batting cages, laser tag, a water slide, go karts, mini golf. Like every one of the little activities made this one location seem like 10 locations in one. You
Oh
know.
my God, it was absolutely brilliant. Now, were the people that were in the movie, in the Costas t-shirts, were they employees or were those friends of yours or?
Most of them were. A few of them were friends of Corey's from that's his hometown in Pennsylvania, Holly, Pennsylvania. And yeah, so a good bit of them were actual employees, and those were like the real employee uniforms and everything. And obviously, because his parents owned it, the company was super helpful. They helped with catering and everything. They gave us discounts on the food
Oh
there.
my
All that.
gosh.
Yeah,
How amazing. And how cool is that for them too if they thought, like it's smart for them to allow you to open it up to you guys
yeah,
because for them it's basically it's a feature film infomercial, for
yeah.
anyone because when I was watching I'm going, dude, I want to have like the go-kart race, dude. The go-kart chase scene is just absolutely phenomenal, and I love how you see the faraway shot where it's like they're actually just going, they're just slowly going, but like when you're in it you're like, whoa, 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 it's like all crazy. And like that looked fun. I'm like, man, I want to go to Costas. I want to ride the golf carts and
Yeah.
all the water slides, and it looked so much fun.
Yeah, that was actually also like kind of a saving grace because we shot it in 10 days with no money. So
Wow.
like stress was high, there was a lot of tension, and whenever we had any kind of break, we would go ride the go-karts or play laser tag. It really actually helped relieve a lot of stress in the middle of what could have been a really, really stressful shoot.
Wow, man. So what were some of the crazy challenges that you came across that were mostly like that you had to like really get through?
The hardest challenge was just the time. Everybody was volunteer. Everybody just wanted to make the movie out of the goodness of their heart, and so we didn't want to hold people for too long. So the shoot was actually 9 days, and then we did one shot on the 10th day. Um, and to get it all done in 9 days, we were just moving so fast.
Dude.
And that was the biggest challenge, was just getting everything done in a reasonable amount of time. We didn't ever do more than like 3 or 4 takes if I could help it. like obviously if a stunt went wrong or something, we'd have to do it a few times. But if the take was good on number two, a lot of times I'd have to say, all right, we don't have time. We got to move on to the next take.
Now, did you have a couple of cameras shooting at once, or did you just shoot with one camera? How'd you do? One camera.
One. Yeah, it was an A7S2, which is we rented for like $300 for 9 days. Uh, our DP, Connor Daniels, she did an incredible job because we gave her nothing except the camera and a couple work lights. She brought her own gels and she had a set of lenses that she used, but yeah, she did an incredible job with hardly anything. It also helped the location. Costa's had a lot of cool lighting, like the arcade scene, the laser tag.
Yeah.
The lights in there just were, you just turn them on and she was able to turn off the house lights and it looked really, really cool.
Oh yeah, it was great, man. The whole scene where it was all neon and I
Yeah.
mean, it just looked great.
And like the go-kart parking area had like the string lights and she really like used every piece of light in the location to her advantage. It's amazing how good it looks because seriously, she had nothing to work with from our end.
Well, it's really awesome in this day and age, the way that technology is getting cheaper and cheaper, and it's getting crispier and crispier. It's getting like at the same time it's getting less expensive. It's also like they're really maximizing it. You know, they're doing really great with this stuff where in a lot of these cases you don't need all these crazy lights. With today's cameras, they can shoot in low light. They can do a lot with very little, and um, I just think that's absolutely genius because it takes less time to set up shots and all that. 10 days is a really ambitious move, and I think you know everyone's got to be in focus. Everyone's got to really know like what's going on during that time, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we tried to have all our actors, everybody did a couple of things on set. If you weren't acting, you were slating, and we tried to have everybody every morning we get together and say, here's what the plan is today. We would actually storyboard it every night, me, Corey, and the DP, Connor. We would storyboard every night for all the scenes we were going to shoot the next morning.
Whoa.
And then we would show those to the whole crew the next morning and say, we have 12 shots and we need to be done by 11. So let's get on it. And everybody was super, super helpful. Everybody worked really, really hard. And yeah, if we didn't have the crew to be so passionate about getting it done in a timely manner, it just wouldn't happen.
Well, it's cool. I like how you guys did the transition from daytime into nighttime. You did that really flawlessly, in such a way where it was like you don't even realize. Oh, you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden now it's nighttime. So it was really cool how you guys did that. And I saw some really interesting. I loved the Phoebe. Well, I call it the Phoebe Cates scene because it reminds me of the Fast Times at Ridgemont High scene. I saw like little elements of like
That,
Fast Times at
that
Ridgemont High
definitely
and
inspired
Caddyshack.
me.
Yeah, that inspired that. That was
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
That was really cool, man. It was fun to see. It was fun to see like some of these playful movies kind of sneak their way in there. Because at first I didn't know what it was. I'm like, wait, is this a resort? Is this a miniature golfing place? And then I saw as it just keeps getting more and more expansive. Then once they said the name of the place, I Googled it. I'm like, where is this place?
no,
And
that's good to hear. I'm glad Costa's got some advertising on
oh
it.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, okay, Costas. Okay, where is this? He says he's from Tennessee, but okay, but so then I'm like looking it up, and then once someone said, "Oh, Pennsylvania," I'm like, "Oh, okay, maybe that's the keyword." So it was a lot of fun just finding that place, and then looking at all the pictures of it and checking out the website. And um, so how long have you been in the the movie making industry?
About 5 years now. I graduated college in 2016, and Corey and I made a movie called Ghostland Boys, like right when I graduated. And then we did like a couple of festivals with that. It didn't do quite as well as American Sci-Fi's done. Uh, and I was just working as a PA or an office secretary on production, like commercials and music videos and stuff. Uh, and then we shot this like in 2017, and I just edited while working on big movies as a PA and stuff to pay the bills, and just edited this in my free time. I finished it about a year and a half ago. Tweaked it a tiny bit for another half of a year, and then kind of last February started submitting to film festivals.
Did you feel that working behind the scenes helped you draw some frames of references onto how to have, on how to conduct your
Oh
own
yeah,
set?
definitely, definitely. The first movie I ever worked on was called Blur Circle, and I was just a set PA. And I remember it's just a small indie movie shot in Waco, Texas, and it's a pretty good movie. And to see how they made it, they had like a $30,000 budget. I just remember looking around saying, I could do this. Like this makes sense. You don't need a ton of money. Um, and so that's why Corey and I made my first movie, Ghostland Boys, and we spent $3,000 on that movie, and we finished it, and we're like, we could have actually saved a little bit of money if we were a little smarter with some of our rentals. And so we always knew Corey had Costa's Fun Park, and so once we had written a script around it, we were like, yeah, let's go ahead and shoot it.
Gosh, it was just such a brilliant idea to shoot around that place, man. There were so many, yeah, just so many cool locations. It looked so much fun. And everyone seemed to have a really good rapport too. Everyone worked off each other really well.
Yeah, no, I mean, the whole crew is just a good group of friends. They were either Corey's friends from growing up in Pennsylvania or my friends that came from Tennessee. Hannah Swayze, who plays Liv, she went to high school with me, and she was in Ghostland Boys before we did this. Tucker Shull, who plays Jeff, went to high school with me, and he was in all the stupid home videos I used to make.
Oh, that's great.
Connor, the DP, is my fiance. So like, everybody was a buddy before we made the movie, for sure.
Well, and that's the cool thing. Like a lot of these great directors and producers that have been around for decades, a lot of times the same crew and cast that they work with are people they work with, long ago when they first began, and it was like, okay, since we started this brainchild together, and we just go through production to production, and it's, I mean, that's something that you're going to be doing because you guys are in such a groove here, and I'm sure it's, after shooting a feature film with such a low budget but with such high creativity, because creativity always fills in the blanks wherever you don't have a budget. The creativity is like, okay, what can we do though? What can we do? Which, by the way, the special effects in this were great, man. The special effects were awesome. The satellite thing that you guys built, the dome that goes over the park, the whole like shooting the laser up into the sky. It was great. Did you do all those effects yourself, or?
I did all but one of the effects by myself. Yeah, the puke scene where Jeff vomits on the hazmat guy. That I had to have a buddy do for me who works in VFX. Because we couldn't get the machine to work on the day. We had like a pump system to like make it look like it was going to shoot out of his mouth, but we just couldn't get it. But every other VFX shot, yeah, it was me. I have
Incredible.
very limited VFX knowledge before I edited all this, and I kind of learned it as I went. I knew enough about VFX to know I could really only do 2D stuff. So this is a little secret. If you really pay attention, any shot with VFX is a static, doesn't move at all. So I could just put a 2D element in there. And if there actually are a couple of movements, but those are all digital in post.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was watching the credits. You had a huge. It looked like you had a big crew. I mean, plus you had all those actors too, which was awesome.
Yeah. We had. I mean, there's probably like 10 people that completely worked behind the scenes, plus all the actors, and then a ton of like people that just gave us a meal one day, or provided like a costume or something. Like tons of people came together to just make everything happen, every little thing.
I thought it was great how the older folks in there. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Those are probably someone's grandparents, and you're like, okay, get in
Yeah,
there, grandma, get in there, grandpa.
those were Corey's
Oh,
grandparents.
that's cool.
Yeah. Corey's dad had a cameo. He was actually the stunt double for Jeff because he knew how to use the welding tools when he's in the garage and like turning on the welder. So that was Corey's dad actually behind the mask. And then Corey's mom uh, drives out of the parking lot and says she's
Oh
going
yeah, I
to
love that part. Yeah.
yeah. Corey's cousin was the little kid with the ice cream.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
And
man.
just tons of Corey's family and friends helped make it happen.
It's so crazy. It's like you pe- people all the time complain about going, "Oh, how am I going to have a budget? How am I going to be able to shoot this? How am I going to be able to shoot that?" And what's so interesting, it's like the fact that your movie exists. It's an example to many filmmakers out there of going, look, you don't need a huge budget to get something done. It takes having rapport and being a good person to people. That I would say is the most valuable thing, commodity that you could ever have, because it's through your relationships with these people that cause them to want to volunteer, that cause them to want to be a part of your vision and part of your project. And it's so cool because, like, who would expect a movie to be shot for $1,500, and to be able to have that whole resort, to have all the crew members, to have all those actors that were on there. I mean, it's a really cool example to many people.
Yeah, yeah, and that honestly, all the movies that have inspired us to make these, like Robert Rodriguez movie, like Rebel Without a Crew, his book, El Mariachi, um, Clerks, any like super low budget movie, like it. If they could do it in the '90s, and now people are putting them up on YouTube every day, like there's no reason you shouldn't be able to make a movie with a low budget as long as you have enough friends to help you out. Um,
Yeah,
and so, yeah, I'm really glad you noticed that, because that is kind of one of our biggest goals with this type of movie, is just to inspire other people with other big ideas that can be done on a small budget to go ahead and make their movie.
absolutely. It really, it's so funny. It really just takes. It's been said time and time again. A good story. An audience will forgive bad special effects, or any number of things. If the story's good, it's going to hold their attention there. That is far greater than a movie that's shot on whatever the latest $20,000 red camera or whatever. And it's like, okay, this is like a hollow like there's nothing to this movie. All it is like a very good visual thing. So it's being able to go, okay, here's this location, here's this fun story. By the way, how long did it take for you to write the script?
Probably about 3 months. And we kind of treated it like a job, like we would work on it about 4 hours a day. And Corey and I were living in different cities, and we would send our pages back and forth. And Corey would rewrite something I wrote, and then I'd rewrite something he wrote. We kind of would go every other scene, because we took a few weeks to like map out the plot. Um, and then once we had the plot mapped out, we would each do every other scene kind of, and then we would both rewrite each other's scenes. And then once we were done with the first draft, that was about a month and a half or 2 months in. Then we did a second draft where we kind of just went through the whole thing and said, we don't like this, we don't like this, we should change this to make it tie into this moment, and we did a second draft. Probably took 2.5 months to get there, and then by 3 months in, I did the final draft where it was just like small dialogue changes and things. Because by that point, we had cast every one of my friends basically, and
Oh,
I kind of knew who was going to be saying it, so I kind of tweaked it to match them a
oh,
little
that's
more.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, there were 3 drafts, and the third draft was the easiest because it took like a couple weeks to do, and it was just minor tweaks.
So do you guys have more screenplays that are ready to be
We
made?
have a couple more like completed. They're not entirely like the low budget. We don't have the locations for them, so but we do have a couple in the works that we're trying to write. I live on a horse ranch right now with
Wow.
38 horses and a big like canyon behind us. Yeah.
Dude, talk about
So,
a location. You got a
so yeah,
location
so
right
we're
there, dude.
we're workshopping a lot of ideas for this location to kind of do the same thing we did with American
Oh
Sci-Fi.
my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. So you live
Yeah.
on land with a whole bunch of horses?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in Santa Clarita right now, in Los Angeles, and yeah, I live on a horse ranch, and
God, that's
so
awesome.
it's actually Connor, my fiance, the DP, Connor Daniels. It's her mom's horse ranch. So yeah, so it's kind of the same thing. Like we have this location, we have a few ideas, and we're kind of workshopping them now. And I think once we're done with American Sci-Fi's festival run, and once we've kind of tied a bow on that, we'll get to work on the next one.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you got an entire horse ranch. Dude, that is fantastic.
Yeah,
And by the way, too, I like how American Sci-Fi, all the opening credits were really great too. Great production value. Those are really cool.
thank you. Yeah, those are all like public domain old sci-fi movies that I used to love. Like when I was like 10, 12 years old. I would watch those all the time, that kind of movie. But I really like I would watch them and then try to remake them on like my handy cam because they were all public domain. So I was like, well, this is a movie I can steal, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess here I am 15 years later and still obsessed with those movies. And so, yeah, obviously they had a big influence on American sci-fi. And I would say like the 1950s sci-fi mixed with like American graffiti, kind of like coming of age. Those were the two things that really meshed together. And so when I was first editing the movie, it just kind of started with them at the putt putt course, and I was like, it's not sci-fi enough. I really want to like tell the audience that it's going to be a fun, kind of corny, cheesy sci-fi movie from the get-go. And so I came up with that little idea for the opening credits. And I'm also a big fan of a whole separate moment for the opening credits, like a little short video, like the Sal Bass credits,
Oh yeah.
or even like Napoleon Dynamite's opening credit scene, with all the food. Like I always like when they have a whole little separate moment for the opening credits. So I'll probably do that in every movie I ever make, something like
Yeah, because
that.
there's such potential to tell a whole lot within those opening
Yeah,
credits, you know?
yeah, I really feel like the opening credits give the whole tone of the movie. Like they're kind of goofy, but have like a very hard sci-fi nerdiness to them. And the music's fun, so
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the soundtrack was great, man. That soundtrack was awesome.
yeah, that was a buddy of mine from college actually, who he does music professionally now, and he gave us a really great deal. That's about half the budget for the movie went to him, but he gave us an incredible deal. He worked on the music for like 3 months. Um, I made about half the music myself, and then he made the other. He made the
Oh,
better.
cool. Oh,
I
that's
made
cool.
I made the stuff that's more like sci-fi sounding and dark towards the end of the movie, because that's, in my opinion, easier as a musician to make. Is just a lot of like synths and like long droning notes. So
Hmm.
I was able to do that. He did a lot of the early, happier, more upbeat kind of sounding stuff that required a little more musicianship than
Did
the
he
stuff.
ever was he ever able to actually visit the set to kind of see like, oh, this is where it's taking place, or
No, no, I contacted him like a year after we were done shooting. I was a year into the edit and was like, I need music for this that's not like pulled from some website for free. And so I contacted him. He was like, yeah, let me watch the movie. And he watched it and he was like, yeah, this could be really good. So he was all in to help us out.
that's
But yeah,
fantastic.
unfortunately, he did the music on our first movie, Ghostland Boys, as well. And
Oh, cool.
he was able to be more involved with Ghostland Boys in this one, but he's a professional now and has like a real job and has to, you know, couldn't be there to make this goofy movie with us.
Well, I think you guys are doing a great job, and you got a great team, and you got great momentum here, and no shortage of ideas or creativity, and um, I think that this movie is going to inspire a lot of people to think, rethink how they imagine feature films to be. Um, Growing up, you're just there's always like this idea of like, oh, it's got to be multi-million dollar budget. Oh, it's got to be multi-million dollar budget. And then when someone goes, oh, we're shooting a low budget film, only about 600,000. That's a low budget film? Like what? 600,000 is a low budget film? So it's like to really use that, $1,500 very smartly, it shows, it's like, yeah, dude, it all lies in the creativity that's being put into,
Yeah, yeah,
the writing, the story, the fact that you were able to write these things that fit the characters of your friends, which was just a brilliant idea too.
yeah. Thank
Wow,
you.
man. Well, thank you so much for talking with me, and this is so great, man. And I'm just happy that we're still able to connect and still able to facilitate a film festival during this time. And are there any other things that you'd like to point people towards, your Instagram or Facebook or anything you'd like people to find you at?
Yeah, we have an Instagram. It's American Sci-Fi Movie is our handle. Check it out. I'm sure eventually we'll segue it to be our next movie, and it's kind of like mine and Corey's Instagram for all the stuff we create. So yeah, if you follow that, you can stay in touch with us and keep watching what we keep making because we're gonna keep making stuff.
Dude.
Hopefully, once this pandemic's over and we can all get back together. But yeah, thanks so much, Kurt. And thanks for putting on this festival in the middle of a pandemic and
Yeah.
allowing people to see movies like this one. I'm really looking forward to it when it's up on Filmocracy. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Chris, and you have a great day.
Thanks, Kurt.
We'll talk to you later.